local media has an agenda that they're going to serve. I don't know who's in charge of it or what it is, if it's like a headless monster.
You know, I was pretty happy with that one at Gerbils the other night.
Oh,
To be
yeah.
honest with you.
Yeah.
That was a good pizza.
Yeah.
Fat wallets and empty hearts. Which
empty hearts.
It's insane how little musicians get. So, yeah, if you're interested in support, not just me, but any musician that you like, one of the best ways to do that, it sounds old school because it is purchase their music, purchase their merch, you know.
Hey guys, this is Mark from Rat Rod.
Hi, this is Mikey P from Skell.
Hey, this is Jeff from the Bell Jumpers.
Probably be Paul because he's awesome.
This is Jessica for the band Dimitus. You're listening to Pennsylvania Rock Show.
What's up, everyone? It is Bill. You're tuned into the Pennsylvania Rock Show, episode number 775. We have heard 2 tracks already. It's kind of a post view at a show I went to this past weekend. We started out with Super Monkey and their track Elisa Benita, and Borstal Boys and their track Need My Friends, and the other band that was on that show was Black Ridge, and we're going to be talking to one of their members here momentarily. I do want to mention that we are on Music from the 412 out of Pittsburgh, XRP Radio out of Scotland, Mega Rock Radio and 107.1 KFGD out of St. Louis, Missouri, and Rootaroo Radio out of Texas and San Diego. I can never remember what city in Texas, but Texas and San Diego. With me tonight is Joey Connor.
Hello.
Who probably has not noticed what I titled this episode yet, because he hasn't seen it anywhere online. Would you like to know what it is?
Yes.
It is Joey Connor Makes the Greatest Faces.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
If anyone has been paying attention to my Facebook over the last couple of days, there's a picture of Joey on stage from this past weekend where he's making one of those faces. So you can go check that out.
Nice.
So a last minute switch up, Joey has sent me a original track of his solo that we're going to play a little bit later. We're also going to hear from his band Black Ridge. We're going to hear from Medusa's Disco, Dream the Heavy, and Dinner Bell Road as the episode goes on. No, Mr. Quacker's not preserving records show. It was at Mr. Small's in Millville. Mr. Small's Funhouse Presents, or how do they? Mr. Small's Presents, I think is what they call it. But the Funhouse stage. And if you haven't been at the Funhouse lately, the stage is like multiplied in size significantly.
If it fits Black Ridge, it's a decent sized stage.
I still would have had trouble getting pictures of Mike on that stage.
He's there to be heard, not seen. It's fine.
All right, so you have a lot of things that you wanted to chat with me about. Let's start out with some of your sponsorships that you have.
Oh yeah. So I got into that game probably about 3 years ago. So I worked in a music store for a long time, called Pianos and Stuff, and I got to see all of these brands come through. And when those brands come through, they usually bring reps with them, and you get to know them and you start to build relationships. Well, I started doing demos for a lot of those companies through Pianos and Stuff. Companies like Wampler, Two Notes Audio Engineering, and then most recently LsL Instruments. And they were kind of like, wow, we would like you to do this for us, but in a separate entity. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And being a professional musician, we're not known to be very wealthy in the pockets kind of thing. So a lot of these companies, I was like, hey, send me some of this gear. I'll do some videos on it. And it kind of grew from there. I currently endorse Bad Cat amps, which I think are literally some of the best amps on the market right now. They apply to any kind of player you can think of. Great company, great people. Um, Recently, LSL Instruments. So in the world of like boutique guitars, LSL is in like the top three, I call it, and they just make handcrafted instruments, and they're very very player in mind, and they have way more people on their roster that are way farther in their career than me, and I'm totally just blessed to even slightly be a part of that kind of thing, man. It's something I'm grateful for literally every day of my life.
In the green room, I heard you telling Vinny from Borstal Boys about LSL and where they came from. Do you want to give that little bit of history?
Yeah, 100%. So, there's a man named Lance who, over the years, he was making guitars for people, and just like any kind of guitar builder, he was kind of working out of his home, working out of his own shop, and he would give guitars to people and be like, dude, play my guitar, tell me what you think. And then eventually, he started going to California. I think that might be where he's from. And there's kind of like this hub of boutique guitar companies all around the same area. And it's kind of like, have you ever seen like a board game where it's like one person will do this, another person will do this, and they're kind of classing at each other? That's kind of what it's like. And LSL, um, they're a very, very, what's the word I'm thinking of? They're a relatively new company in the game. I think they've been around for maybe 20 years. I'm sure they'll correct me if I'm wrong eventually if they see this, but they started out as everybody tries to take a Fender and make it better. And I'm gonna get scrutinized for this, but it's not hard to do nowadays. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, Fender was like, you gotta play a Fender, a Fender, a Fender, a Fender. Now people are like, well, Fender has these problems, and a lot of these boutique companies are fixing them. And LSL kind of has rammed through that kind of line, and they're making Fender like guitars for half the money and handmade, which a lot of guitars are not handmade nowadays.
We actually have a 3/4 Fender here, and
Nice.
it's a little acoustic that we got from pianos and stuff.
And LSL is, they were on like my top three favorite guitars. Now, of course, they're number one. But I played Sir guitars for a long time. And
It says, "Wow, I should get one."
who's that?
I don't honestly know.
Yeah, you should get one. They're awesome. I played Sir guitars for a long time. That was like my that my Sir guitar went everywhere with me. And then I was actually working out a small deal with Sir when LSL approached. And now Sir says they dropped me like a bad habit. Now that I'm on LSL. So,
Well, you know, you'll have that.
100%, 100%. Because a lot of the word endorsement nowadays, there's different tiers of it. I'm blessed to be a tier one for Bad Cat, tier one for LSL, tier one for Two Notes, Wampler, all those things I play. But what a lot of these companies do is they'll be like, hey, you like our gear, here's a small discount. We won't claim you, but we'll give you the discount and give you priority and see what you do. And that was what Sir offered. They said, hey, we'll give you artist builds and artist priority building, but we're not going to claim you. And I get it. But at the same time, if something is coming along where they're like, we'll give you a full ride, why wouldn't somebody take that?
Yeah. See, now I'm thinking about how I ended up where I was in college.
What?
I had some scholarship offers and I went with the best one. Which makes sense. And it's the same thing you just said.
100%. And LSL has been amazing. I'm actually going here I'm arranging some things where I'm going to go to a bunch of LsL dealers and do clinics and try to promote some gear for them, and it's kind of really cool.
Very cool.
And it's a dream come true on my part, mostly because I grew up listening to dudes like Reb Beach, who I'm blessed to call a friend nowadays. And
Well,
I
he's
watched
from the
his
area
work.
for people that don't know.
Yeah, he lives in Oakmont.
Yep.
And he was like, dude, you gotta take what you can get, but you also have to, in this business, loyalty is everything. He was playing Sir before they were huge. Um, and now he's one of the biggest guitar players in the world, but he's known for playing Sir guitars.
Very cool. And we're gonna take our first break. I have some tickets to give away, and we'll be right back with Joey. On the radio side, we're gonna hear Blackridge Sweat and that new song that I got last minute from Joey called Cascading Skylines, and we will be right back. What's up, everyone? It's that time of the night where I am going to spin the wheel and give away 2 tickets to Fear, courtesy of Justy Entertainment. Before I do that, let me mention the other shows that we're giving away tickets to, courtesy of Drusky. We have Slaughter with Truck Stop and Post Traumatic. We're giving those away on June 2nd. That's a June 27th show. That's at Jurgles. We have the Rocket Mafia at Jurgles on July 9th. We're giving those away on June 9th. Buddy Guy at the Capitol Theater. We're giving those away on the 16th of June. That is a July 16th show. Billy Price Band at the Craft House. We're giving those away on the 23rd of June. That is a July 25th show. Sweet with Creed Morris and Rattlebones at Jurgles. Giving those away on June 30th. It is a July 31st show at Jurgles. We have tickets for Striper at Jurgles. We're giving those away August 4th. That's an August 17th show. We have Bill Toms and Hard Rain with VZH&M Acoustic Union. We're giving those away on July 7th. That's an August 23rd show at the Craft House. August 27th show with Sister Hazel and the Sages at Jurgles. We're giving those away on July 14th. That's the advantage of my live giveaway. Jurgles, September 24th show, giving those tickets away July 21st. And Mushroom Head with Psycho Stick, Black Satellite at Preserving. We're giving those away on July 28th. And it is an October 21st show. Tonight, I will be making a person happy with 2 tickets to see Fear. We had 2 people sign up. They were Andrew Carr and Justin Todd. I have entered both their names 2 times on the wheel. I'm going to shuffle it, actually 4 times. I'm going to shuffle it 2 times and give it a spin. And we are going to find out who is winning those 2 tickets to see Fear on the 26th of May. We're giving these away. It's a June 20th show. And the winner is Andrew Carr. Andrew, keep an eye on your email for information on how to pick up those tickets. And as always, head to musicfrom412.com/contest to enter for tickets courtesy of Drusky Entertainment. Coming at you on musicfromthe412.com. Hey, we're headed into segment number 2. If you are just joining us, with me tonight is Joey Connor. The ticket winner was Andrew Carr to go see the band Fear at Preserving. He'll be getting an email later explaining that. And here momentarily, there he is, Joey Connor, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, hello.
So we were talking about LsL Guitars, LsL Instruments, and you mentioned Wampler pedals. And are there any other endorsements that you have that you want to throw out there?
So currently, LsL Instruments, Bad Cat amps.
I forgot that one.
2 Notes Audio Engineering, IK Multimedia, SIT Strings, Walrus Audio, And am I forgetting one? No, I said Wampler. My wife is like, Wampler. Um,
I know how that
I know
goes.
there's 7. I counted 6.
I don't know if you can see that, but right here is the list of the radio stations because I forget it all the time. It's on my notes.
I said SIT, 2 notes, Wampler, Walrus, Bad Cat. Oh, IK Multimedia.
I think you listed that one already.
Darn. Hold on.
Hey, here, while you're thinking, we have Mr. Quackers 528 has a question for you. He wants to know if the Beatles have influenced you at all.
So I got in the Beatles late. That is, Paul, the other guitar player in Blackridge, opened my mind to what the Beatles was. And the biggest thing that I take from the Beatles is how they arrange their songs. They had one of the albums, and excuse my ignorance, was they had 4 tracks. And what they did with those 4 tracks is phenomenal. And I was late to the game of the Beatles because they were just not on my radar at the time. Like I loved Joe Satriani and all the instrumental guitar players, and I was like, oh, this stuff's old. And now it's more like, wow, they revolutionized how music happened.
So let me point something out. We were off the air before we went live. Joey's birthday is tomorrow, and do you mind if I tell them how old you are?
Nah, you're welcome to.
All right, so Joey's gonna be 29, and I'm 48, and the Beatles will be before my time. So I'm just putting that out there.
I get a little grace in that aspect, but at the end of the day, it's like anybody would be crazy to not take something from what the Beatles did. Just I don't know what album it was, but all the songs they did was a 4-track recorder. And they had 4 tracks and they did everything. Now I don't know how many layers they could put on each track, but yeah, no, definitely that's what I take away from the Beatles is their arranging and their way to just make do with what they did. And they played to the song. As a guitar player, we have the tendency to, how can I say this with keep it radio friendly? We have a tendency to show everything we got in the first 30 seconds. And there's a quote from Reb that I'm going to kind of PG it. He said, when you go out on a date, do you show her everything you have right then and there? No, not at all. And that's what the Beatles did. They took music and they played to the song and made that come to life. Not, hey, Paul, can you play this amazing bass line? No, he played the right stuff at the right time. Thanks, Mom.
I thought that's who that was. If you're on the radio side, in the chat room, Joey's mother wished him happy birthday, just so you understand what was going on there. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of take a right turn here for a second, and I'm gonna change our view, and we're gonna look at your website for a moment.
Sure. As
it pops up, there we go. So we are on the shop version, so where you can go pick up merchandise. And
Blackridge's website, not my website. Okay.
Yes, sorry. I didn't know you had one. Do you have one?
I do have a website.
And we'll bring it up momentarily then. So the reason I picked this up is because I want to use this other view that I hardly ever use. And hopefully it's going to work. Let's see. Ah, it did. You can see my messy decks. But in my hand, I hold some Blackridge hot sauce. Which I got by holding Paul's sunglasses for ransom.
Stuff is good. Like, I'm not a hot sauce guy, but like we were behind somewhere at a show. I think it was Moondogs, and I'm eating a sandwich, and Paul just comes and demolishes my sandwich with the hot sauce. And he's like, "Eat this." And I went, "Okay." And I ate it, and I was like, "It's good, but it burns."
He tried to spray something in my mouth in the green room. I was like, no. I still don't know what it was.
As somebody who is taking a couple things from Paul that I didn't know what it was, I'd be cautious.
Hey, what's your website address?
JoeConnorGuitar.com.
Okay, that's you. Hold on one second. All right,
There it
so
is.
now we have JoeConnorGuitar.com. It should be noted that Connor is Conner. I've made that mistake a few times.
You and everybody else, brother.
I'm going to change the address on the bottom of our chat here too.
LsL did this big write-up on me. They have an online magazine, and they did this big write-up, and every time they put Joe Connor, they spelled it wrong.
I've gotten better at it.
Nice.
All right, so these shows are they you solo and Blackridge?
No, just Blackridge. But there's going to be a whole nother section for just my stuff coming soon. I'm not and I also have to update the endorsement list, but I am not a professional web guy, so that just that little bit took the combined efforts of me and my wife to make.
Hey, I know a guy.
Yeah, you do know a guy.
So you are you still teaching guitar?
So yes and no. So nowadays, I do like a couple one-off lessons, but I do not teach at Murphy's anymore because I moved about a year ago. But I did for a long time.
I think I've told this story every time you've been on, but my son used to take trumpet lessons while he was teaching guitar, and he used to tell me that his trumpet was too loud.
Yes, well, because I'd be sitting there and I'd be like locked in with a student, and I'd hear, "Brrr," and I'm like,
I don't know if you heard me telling Cody in the green room, but he's actually started playing bass.
Nice.
Yeah, Rocky actually gave him a bass from the Bristol
that's
Boys,
awesome.
and then Donnie Iozzo from Butler gave him a practice amp, and the bass player from Neostem sold us a Rumble 60 bass amp for $30, which is like $100 less than it should be used. So,
yes, that's a steal.
so the music scene was very nice to my son. And we even got a guitar strap for it from one of my friends' next door neighbors. It was like, oh, he's learning, give him this.
Nice.
So $30 and he has a complete setup.
That's amazing.
But so we have about 30 seconds left in this segment, and I'm going to use that to tell you who we're going to hear from next, which is Medusa's Disco. We're going to hear Blood and Honey, and then we're going to hear Dream the Heavy and their song Candy. I almost missed their set at Millvale 2 weekends ago because Millvale's parking situation is not good. With that said, we're going to take our second break here on episode number 775 with Joey Connor.
Yeah, there's only one more segment left. One more segment.
Hey, it's Bill. You are tuned in to episode 775 of the Pennsylvania Rock Show. We just heard from Medusa Disco and Blood and Honey is that track, and Dream the Heavy Candy. Dream the Heavy is a band that you definitely want to go check out. Medusa's Disco, they recently disbanded, and I'm not exactly sure why, but they were a great band. You should check them out anyway. With me for the rest of tonight, for our last segment, is Joey Connor. His website, joeconnorguitar.com. And his band Blackridge, blackridgeofficial.com. So Paul said that you will always be the new guy, even if it's only 30, if it's even 30 years from now, if nobody else joins the band.
Yep.
You know what happened?
Always.
You know what happened in that introduction? And I just realized it the other day. He gets to the part where he usually introduces himself. He didn't do it.
Really?
No. He did, like, he skipped over the this is what I do part. And he just went into the thanks for all the love.
Wow.
See, you didn't notice either.
No. During Blackridge has a lot of moving parts, and I'm usually just locked in.
It took me a while to realize it, like days. I was like, wait a minute.
He didn't do the thing.
So how did you end up hooking up with Blackridge?
Through word of mouth. So I remember it like this. So the story goes that their other guitar player disbanded, and I got a text one day from Paul, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to come audition for my band?" And I said,
Hold on a second.
"Sure."
The balloon is awesome. There's a balloon behind you in case you didn't know. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, that's the boy.
No, that's awesome.
That's actually, like, on Facebook you can do filters. That's actually what that is. And so they were like, "Want to come audition?" I was playing with a band called the Luke Welts Band at the time, and
he's in MSJR now, and what is it? 18 to Heart.
18. I think it's 18 at Heart.
Okay.
And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then shortly after that, Blackridge played too much, and I disbanded from Luke Welts Band. And Blackridge had a show 2 weeks later, and they were like, How long will it take you to learn the set?" And I went, "How long do I have?" and, and then we played our first show at Millville, the Gap stage. And they were just like, "You want the job?" I said, "Yeah." And here we are.
If I remember correctly, that first, was that an EP that you did, like, one off on every track?
Yeah, so I did that in 4 hours. The old guitar player had stuff already done, and they were like, "Well, he's not here. How long would it take you to do this?" And I went, "How long do I have?" and in normal Blackridge fashion, they were like, "Can you put something here? Can you put something here? How about here?" And I did all the rhythm tracks and all the solos in 4 hours on the Raw Power EP.
That's amazing. More balloons.
Buddy, I can't blow here. I'll blow the balloon for you real quick.
Hey, so while Joey's doing that, we'll take a look at his website real quick. So he also has a merchandise section
that has nothing on it.
First year guitar 101, intermediate guitar course, advanced guitar course. I'm assuming that's coming.
Yes, that is coming soon.
The artwork for them are phenomenal.
That's Squarespace.
Have you done any session work for any other bands? I see this.
Oh yeah. Recently, I there's a girl by the name of Megan Paulette. I did a lot of her stuff. Um, Recently, trying to think. Um, that's all that's ringing to mind as of like in the last year. My buddy Marty's band, I did some tracks for them. I used to do the session thing a lot more before playing with Blackridge because I had a lot more free time. Nowadays, not so much because with us being booked as much as we are, it's kind of hard to commit to something.
And on top of that, you recently got married, correct?
I did get married. I did get married.
And that brings a whole another set of responsibilities.
Correct. I went to a gig and came home with a wife.
I didn't know that part of the story.
Would you like to hear the story?
Can you do it in less than 3 minutes?
Yes, I can.
Okay, that's your time limit.
She asked me the same thing. Bada boom. Okay. So the band got a gig in a little town called Winburn. And I showed up, and at the time I was on the outs with one girl, and I was like, I'm done with this whole dating thing. I'm just over all of it. And I show up, I'm setting up my gear, and this kid comes up to me, and I'm like, whose kid is this? Like, and then I see my wife, future wife, run across. She's like, that's my baby. And I was like, take it back. Like, I'm like, oh, you're kind of cute. And I remember looking at Tony, and I went, I love hot moms. And and Tony was like, yeah, you should talk to her. And I'm like, no, I should not. Like, and then we started, and like we were kind of talking in between sets, and the kid came up and was like loving the music, and I actually picked him up and showed him my guitar. And she had a guy with her who I thought was her husband. It was actually her brother. And she was like, hey, I took a bunch of pictures of your band. How do I get them to you? And I went, I can give you my information. And so that night, I had a long drive home, and she was like, hey, do you want to come over? And I'm like, no, I don't do that. So I was classy, and I took her out the next night. And we've spent every day together ever since. And that was the most expensive gig I ever went on.
So, sorry, I have a cold and it's kicking in right now. I was wheezing there. I don't know if you heard that.
Don't die.
Anyway.
Though. If you die during this episode, I'm going to feel real bad.
No one will be here to press stop.
I'll just have to keep talking, and nobody wants that.
All right, so we have about 1 minute left, and I have not asked you any Pennsylvania Rock Show questions. So this one I've asked a bazillion times, but best pizza you've had because you're a musician. And yes, I know about the pizza tattoo. Go.
Dommy's Pizza and Vandergrift, 100%.
See, now you're brown nosing.
No, they're the best.
They're not open there anymore.
I know, and I'm sad.
Dommy's is open in I can't think of the name of the town right now, but they are still open, just not in Vandergrift. And
yeah, it's 2 hours away from me.
Yeah. Anyone who's not familiar with why I said he's brown nosing, that would be my cousin.
Yeah.
All right.
Wait a second. You know, they're my cousins too.
I did not realize that.
Bobby
is?
Yes, so my grandmother, who's now passed, he was married to my grandmother's niece.
Gotcha. So his grandfather and my grandfather were brothers.
Okay.
So
we were related for a small period of time.
Hey Joey, my timer went off telling me that we were out of time. I have a button that does that for me now. It keeps me on track, and now I'm going over. So the other question is Dave Grohl. Who's your Dave Grohl? In other words, who you want to go up on stage with and perform one of their songs?
It's always going to be Reb Beach, man. My kid got to get on stage with Reb before I did.
He's going to hold that against you forever.
I told Reb that. I'm like, I hate you now. And he's like, why, man? I said, because my kid got to go on stage with you before I did. And I can't hate the kid.
No. Okay, on that note, we're going to head out into the evening. I have one more track for you. It is Dinner Bell Road, and the song is Walk the Line. They're kind of country-ish. We've been going rock all night, but this is kind of southern rock country-ish, and it kind of fits the theme other than Medusa's Disco, which I have not seen recently. The rest of the bands I've seen in the last 2 weeks. With that said, we will see you next week. I wish I could remember who is on the show. I should know this. It's going to tell you as soon as I press the next button. It'll be on the screen. With that said, we will catch you next week, Joey. Thanks so much for being on with me again.
Absolutely, brother.
Next week's show will be Broom, episode 776.